Life is made up of a series of choices. The choices that you make will define who you are as a person. Those choices will also affect others in your life. Joe, you made the choice last July 2nd to come home from church and strangle me, your estranged wife, because I didn't want to be with you anymore. But you didn't stop there. You then chose to repeatedly rape me in several different ways. Knowing me for 10 years, you knew what I would hate the most, and that's what you chose to do violently. You said that night that I should really stop fighting with you and just concentrate on what I was going to do to keep myself alive. As if that weren't enough for me to pay for leaving you, you then tied me to a chair and methodically loaded a gun, pointed at me several times, and once even pulled the trigger, just so I would know you were serious. You chose to terrorize me for hours that night, with no regard for anything but your own hurt feelings. I reminded you several times that night as you began to strangle me of our children and what you were doing to them. You didn't care. The thought of your children didn't even faze you. There was no stopping what you had your mind set on. You only wanted me to be scared enough to stay with you. But that didn't work, so now you're sorry. Your choices are forcing me to raise 3 children completely alone. You have left 3 boys wondering why their dad would do such things to their mom. When I first saw them a week after this event, they took one glimpse at my blood-red eyes and were scared of me because of the way I looked. That evidence of your brutality lasted an entire month, and I scared a lot of people with my appearance. Hunter and Logan asked me, "Who would do something like that to you, Mom?" And I had to tell them that the person they called Dad hurt me, and now he's in jail. That was the worst conversation I ever had to have. I had to break my children's hearts, telling them the terrible things that you had done. I had to explain to them how you made very bad choices, and now they weren't allowed to see you, by no fault of their own, but because of your choices. They will have to work through their anger for a long time. I can't understand why you would do this, and they will be asking themselves that same question for many years to come. These boys are always going to have this incident in their background, and they're going to have to overcome a lot so they can make the right choices in their future. I am amazed at how quickly you went from the threatening monster you were that night to the meek victim we see here today. I don't buy it. I remember what you said to me that night. You said that you may have to sit in jail for 10 years for this if I tell, but eventually you will get out, and that's when you will start killing the people I love, saving me for last. You just weren't willing to let me go, to let me have my choice. The only choice you were willing to accept was yours. I know that what we see here is just an act, meant for all to think that you have changed, but I won't forget your words that night. I would like to revisit our conversation nearly 2 years ago where I said I didn't want to be married to you anymore. Had you spent more time considering what my choice was, you would be picking your kids up for a visit this weekend. I wanted us to be friends and raise our children together. You just couldn't deal with me wanting my own choice because that choice wasn't you. As horrible as divorce is, at least it would have been better than this. I offered a solution where we could both win in a bad situation, but you had to take control and do things your way. The effect of your controlling, abusive, and manipulative behavior is something that just doesn't go away because of your consequences. You will be in jail for a while and only have to worry about doing what you're told. That will be difficult for you because of your need to control, but that is your issue now and your choice. My effects are vastly different. I didn't choose this for myself or for my children, but this is what I got. On a daily basis, I have to deal with 3 boys who are incredibly angry at you for what you've done, but don't know how to deal with it, so they turn their anger on me. I have to remember daily that this is not my fault when they're blaming me for everything. Kyle is spinning out of control because you've done this at a critical time in his life. He doesn't have any idea how to process his feelings because he's attached himself to you so much for the last 10 years, and now you've done the unthinkable. This is something that an adult has trouble processing, and it's nearly impossible for a teenager to get a grip on. He's taken on your controlling ways, and I have a long road ahead and a short amount of time to get him back on track. Hunter and Logan don't know what to think, but they tell me that they're thankful that you didn't kill me that night. What a thing to make a 7- and 9-year-old deal with. This doesn't sound to me like a father who has his children's best interests at heart. Not only do I have my children blaming me, but I have you forgiving me in court for my part in this. I should remind you here that regardless of what happened in our marriage, this was not the way to deal with it. I have your mother slandering me to my family, telling me that I deserved everything that happened to me, and then verbally attacking me at my church. Additionally, there's this mystery woman, Lisa, that continues to harass Kyle via the internet, passing messages from you to him that clearly go around the restraining order that's in place. I was not just a victim of a crime that night. It continues for me from several different avenues. It seems that I am open game because of your choice to hurt me that night. I am tired of being attacked, and I would like to move on with my life. It's hard for me to feel like justice has been served in this case because what you have done has caused such serious damage to my family. The worst part of this all is not what you did to me that night, but what you have done to my sons. I'm really having a hard time wrapping my brain around that. But here's where I have a choice. Right now, I choose to publicly forgive you. Just as you asked that night if I would forgive you, and I did, I am again forgiving you. Furthermore, I choose not to let this defeat me. I will move on. I have 3 young men to raise. I choose not to be a victim, regardless of how much the forces around me try to make me one. You want to talk about how you were doing what God wanted you to do, but I have some news for you. God spared me that night. Despite your shouting that there is no God and there is no one that can save me now. He did. I have more to do here. I choose to take my horrible situation and help others. I choose to take your dreadful choice and turn it around for the good of other women trapped by controlling men. You've made your choices, and I've made mine. I hope that in the future you can step out of your narcissistic shell and look at how your choices might affect others. I hope that you get the help that you need because you're not well. I hope that you can find a way to do some good in others' lives to make up for the garbage that you served to me and my children. Choices all have consequences, good or bad. I hope this is a lesson that you can learn.